Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to break down some of the recent events in the news that have been affecting the cryptocurrency markets. Before we jump into all of that, a quick shout out, as always, to everyone who's been hitting that like button, and of course, everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit that button down below or the bell to stay up to date with all of the latest in the crypto space. Furthermore, this is, of course, not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Let's get into it, guys. According to CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin down 7.25% in the last 24 hours. Of course, the entire market tanking right along with Bitcoin. Although we have seen a slight bounce back up in the last hour, but not much to speak of, to be honest. Now, if we go over to TradingView, we can see here, that we had a big, scary red candle right down. Whoa! And that looks bad on the 24-hour, but you have to take the bigger view here, guys. You have to think, what are the trends? What has been happening? Let's go to the month. If we look at the month view, we're actually substantially up on where we were 30 days ago. Something to keep in mind. Perspective is important. Now, if we go out to the 3-month, we're not at the lowest we've seen it in 3 months by any means, but at the same time, not the highest either. My thing is, if you look over here, who was selling at $6,000? That's a crazy situation. Selling your Bitcoin at that level, you're just giving it to the whales, you're just giving it to the banks, you're just giving it to the VC firms. They were buying the heck out of that dip, guys. And any, of course, savvy investor was also buying the heck out of that dip. Now let's go out one more time, again, for that added perspective. This is the 6-month. So yes, we are down $10,000 on previous all-time highs. And that sounds pretty brutal, especially if you bought at $20,000. However, if you're looking at the long-term trend here, we're still up significantly on the 6-month. And of course, we are well up on recent lows. So perspective is important here, guys, without a doubt. Now, what has been happening in the markets to actually drive this down so much? Well, it seems all the bad news always comes on the same day. Suspicious, but nevertheless, the SEC came out and says that cryptocurrency exchanges must register with the agency. Oh no, they have to register. It's so scary. Cool. The market is very jittery. We haven't really found strong foundations yet after the recent weeks of bearish behavior in the market. So when something like this happens, it's not surprising to see a big drop. Now, this was not the only event that happened. Event after event after event have happened in approximately the last 24 to 48 hours, or at least have been publicized to be happening. And that's perhaps an important part of the picture here as well. Over in Japan, Japanese regulator could suspend some crypto exchanges. They might also have to deal with administrative punishment. Sounds pretty serious. Not surprising. Nowhere near as bad as it sounds. There are probably some cryptocurrency exchanges operating in Japan that are fly-by-night operations that shouldn't be operating anyway. I would be blown away if they came out and shut down like Bitflyer, for example. I don't think that's the path that it's going to go. There are exchanges that are being compliant, that are trying to stay ahead of the regulatory curves. Those will not be the exchanges that will be being suspended, without a doubt. This didn't get very much attention, but nevertheless adds to the picture. Russia drafts law to criminalize the use of cryptocurrencies as money. That is not saying that you can't mine cryptocurrencies, that you can't trade cryptocurrencies, that you can't hold cryptocurrencies. It's specifically saying that inside the Russian Federation, you cannot pay for things using Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. I don't like that at all. We have seen other countries coming out saying about the same. This is not a currency. We have a problem with you calling it a currency. Obviously, they can't stop people from doing peer-to-peer exchanges, but it will stop things like people putting up signs in their shop that say Bitcoin accepted here, if, of course, that law actually gets passed. Remember, it's just a draft law at this point. Great quote from Melton Demirs over on Twitter. 2018 is the year of crypto clashes with regulators and governments. Conflicting statements from the SEC, FinCEN, CFTC, and IRS. Wouldn't be surprised to hear from the Trump administration in the coming weeks as well. Oh, no. No, Donald. No. Just stay away, Donald. You're not going to understand it. Just let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope something else happens that keeps him distracted and away from Bitcoin. Shh. Don't tell Donald about it. But she's right, though. We are going to see more and more of this happening as the SEC tries to exert its authority over cryptocurrencies and over the exchanges and tries to rein in ICOs. It's really fascinating for me to see that when you look at most excluded lists on ICOs, it's the US, Iran, North Korea, and Cuba. What kind of grouping of countries has America put itself in with in this situation? Anyway, to add to the drama in the last day, over at Binance, hackers have exploited an API. Now, the situation is over. Binance was able to step in quickly, largely resolve the issue. Any irregular activities in user accounts have been corrected, and if any losses have been made, those have been refunded. This is, of course, a great reminder as to why we don't keep our funds on the exchange. Remember, you have to have control of them. Keep them in your own wallets. The exchanges are massive targets because they literally have billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrencies, guys. There will be more hacks in the future. It's part of the nature of the game. This got publicized yesterday, but was an event that has been going on for a while. Mt. Gox trustee sells $400 million in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. News of that broke, added to the already tenuous situation that we were looking at. This has actually been going on for the past couple of months. So this is nothing new, but the publicization of it is new. Now, the interesting thing that I take away here is not that he's been selling, but that he is still in possession of 166,000 plus Bitcoin, worth $1.7 billion at the time of the printing of this article, which is massive. If, of course, they wait for that to go back up, this is a major amount of Bitcoin, and as they continue to liquidate that moving forward, this does have the effect that it can push down markets. If someone comes in and sells a few $100 million worth of Bitcoin, it's going to drive prices down without a doubt. Obviously, they're trying to do it in a way that doesn't crash the market every time, but that has been the experience so far. We are, of course, waiting approval from the bankruptcy court to see more of these liquidations happening, but I would expect them to come in the near future or staggered out over the course of the year. Then, of course, they drag out some economists from Harvard to say that in a decade, Bitcoin will be worth $100, and that's more likely scenario than $100,000. Now, price speculation on Bitcoin, of course, ranges wildly. However, I would take what this particular economist says with a grain of salt, because a lot of his, for example, speaking engagements, as you can see above here, he is a big fan of the central bank, finance ministry, government talking circuit. So it gives you an idea of where he comes from in his perspective on economics and who might be, of course, funding some of his research papers. Overall, another day in Bitcoin land. More FUD. It all seems to come together, though. just at the same time, it's always an interesting thing how much coordination there seems to be sometimes in these FUD events. There are whales out there manipulating behind the scenes. There are banks trying to keep the prices low so that they can acquire and get major holdings in this. This is a serious game with serious money in it. My best recommendation, if you're a big believer in Bitcoin and Bitcoin technology, don't sell low to the whales, guys. Don't play into their game. Don't give it to Scrooge McDuck. Anyway, those are just some roundups for the day on the negative news. Don't try to buy into the hype. Look behind the stories. Find out what's going on. Look past the headlines, guys. It's never as bad as they say it is in the papers. Just my 2 cents, though. Long live the blockchain. And peace out till next time.